Jared, first of all, welcome to Stoke City. You've just been appointed the new head of recruitment here. How excited are you about the challenge?
I'm very excited. For me, it's a once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity for a club that's been, a Premier League mid-table, club for previous time, and obviously since they've been relegated and been in the Championship, we've had a bit of a rejig in terms of the squad and obviously management staff as well. But for me, Stoke ticks all the boxes in terms of an owner with Premier League potential and credentials, which is massive, a stadium that's Premier League, a training facility that's Premier League, and a coach that plays attractive football. So for me, it was a no-brainer, a very exciting project.
Can you just tell us a little bit about your journey so far?
Yes, so the journey started with Sheffield United in the Championship right after their 100-point season in League One, and Chris Wilder wanted to expand the recruitment department with then head of recruitment Paul Mitchell, and the idea was, we want to be a bit cuter in the market in terms of how we approach signing players, and doing that through a data-driven approach, obviously married up with live scouting. At that time, things weren't as far as they are now in terms of the analytics field with expected threat and stuff like that. So we were more along the lines of counting stats and weighting algorithms, things like that. But helped us on our journey, and obviously finished ninth in the Premier League. So got promoted after 2 seasons in the Championship. A fantastic finish, in the Premier League for a very small team with the smallest budget. And then obviously relegation and a bit of a revamp, and finishing up there with the summer. Obviously I was part of the recruitment team then, signing the likes of Arnautović, James McAtee, Tommy Doyle, some good young players, maybe not household names as such, but good young players with potential. And obviously under Paul Eckenbaum, they've been fantastic. So finished second, well-deserved promotion. I have a lot of good friends there, so it's still a club close to my heart. I then moved to Reading right at the end of the January transfer window, pretty much February time. Not enough time to really make an impact as such, but I knew Brian Carey previously from his time at Spurs as head of recruitment there, and obviously went for a bit of a rebuild and a new chapter with Reading coming out of embargo in the summer. It was a short stint there, of course, as people have seen. A few months into it, obviously Ricky and Alex got in touch about potentially joining Stoke City. And for me, I would have only left Reading for the right project. And Stoke, for me, like I said previously, ticks all the boxes. For someone in a recruitment capacity, it's an exciting time to join a club that's really a blank sheet of paper as such. So for a head of recruitment, a scout, an analyst, people who are involved with incoming players, it's a dream scenario.
You mentioned Ricky and Alex there. From the conversations that you've had with them, can you kind of outline what your remit will be?
Yeah, so remit as head of recruitment, for me, anything along the lines of live scouting, video scouting, data analysis and recruitment analysis, as well as emerging talent, all funnels underneath myself, my remit. We've got some fantastic scouts on board, full-time scouts who are here, there, and everywhere doing the hard yards, but it's up to me to kind of bring a bit more of a data component to the recruitment structure. So something that we've had previously may have been, we may have probably veered away from that in most recent times, but now we want to bring that back onto the fold in terms of recruitment and have a more, what I call like a 360 approach to scouting, where you have live scouting that complements the data scouting. The data scouting can obviously identify players that can be watched live, and have a more collaborative approach in terms of the main pillars, which are live or field scouting, as Ricky calls it, data and emerging talent.
Can you kind of talk us through how the process will work from start to finish when recruiting players?
Yes, so we break it down in terms of a funnel. So we have the identification stage of the funnel, where obviously players are being flagged up through data scouting or live scouting. So if someone matches the technical, physical, statistical profile of a player for Stoke City and Alex Neil, that gets flagged up, and obviously we can follow up on video or live field reporting on that. By the same token, if we have a player that we see for the first time live, his debut, and we have a scout at that game, that player will go through the statistical analysis and funnel as well. So we don't want to necessarily just be leaning one way or the other. We want to have a complement, a blend to the way we recruit in that identification phase. Then those players funnel down into analysis. So that's where we're getting more into the nitty-gritty of what's he like as a player, what's he like off the ball, what's he like physically, what's he like technically. And so obviously that's where we have a bit of data involved as well, but multiple eyes on the player. So it's not just one scout, it'd be spread across the scouting team, myself going to see the player live. If the gaffer is able to make it, we want him to be part of that analysis process as well. we don't want to get to a stage where we're at the final bit, the recruitment part of the funnel, where the gaffer hasn't really seen enough of that player and he's getting a fresh look. We want him involved in the analysis part. For me, I think it's important, and obviously it's been a whirlwind of a few days, but we're on the phone, we're either in person together, lunch, dinner, all that, or we're on the phone 3, 4, 5 times a day. So it's important for me to make sure that we're on the same page, because you don't want to be giving him a chair when he wants a table or stuff like that. You
mentioned that you've been in regular contact there with Ricky and the manager. How impactful and how helpful will that be in terms of being able to hit the ground running?
A huge help. I mean, you're coming into a new environment in the middle of what I'm calling like an execution mode. So right now, we would love to speak and elaborate on process and structure and strategy, and that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, we're in go mode. So we're in execution mode. We need to make the most correct decisions possible. I've already set the expectation. We will not get everything right, but we need to be realistic with that and make sure we have more hits than misses, and that the key players that we bring into the team are the right ones for us long term, not just a short term fix goes back and stuff like that. We need to make sure that we get some assets into the team, and obviously make sure that those are the ones that we get correct. So there's an extra emphasis on those investments.
At the start of the transfer window, as you kind of alluded, you kind of relish that challenge of being able to make an immediate impact?
Yes, I relish the challenge. I relish the lack of sleep, but it's one of those things where, like I said, you're coming into a very live situation. You have live targets. Some are coming into the equation that weren't there previously. Some becoming available that were not. Some are falling by the wayside because they go somewhere else. So we're hitting the ground running by function of where we are in the window.
Can you kind of give us a little bit of an insight in terms of the players that you're looking to recruit?
Yes. So with so many players coming in, obviously we've had quite a few go back from loan spells and quite a few out of contract. We want a blend of young, hungry, dynamic players, investments for the future, investments that we see as Premier League potential players, but as a complement to that, we want to make sure we have some experience around them so that they can help the younger lads develop. So do I think we're going to be a fully under 23 side? No. Do I think we're just going to be 28 to 30 and 30 up? I do not. I think we're a blend of both, obviously with an emphasis on the younger ones, because that's where we're going to be investing the majority of our money.
You've built up a bit of a reputation for managing to find players who aren't already household names. How have you kind of achieved that?
A lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of hours, probably fishing in ponds that others are not. I think the fact that the wild card situation has now opened up the world to us in terms of a bigger pond to fish in, I think that will suit us down to the ground. Alex plays really attractive football, front foot football, and I think as players are looking at the championship as the standout second division in the world for me, I think it's a fantastic place to be able to attract the right talent to help us get to the Premier League, and if not, be in the shop window for some of the biggest clubs in the world.
What sort of different resources do you kind of use to identify players out there?
Well, we have quite a few software packages in terms of the data side of things. We've obviously been using StatsBomb previously. Skill Corner's been fantastic for physical data, and I always say it helps us because your eyes can lie to you when it comes to a player's pace. As a quick story, there's a player at Sheffield United who is quite big in stature, and a lot of people ask me, well, is he that quick though? And the reality is we've tested him. He's one of the quickest in the squad, or was one of the quickest in the squad at Sheffield United. And so those are the types of things where if data can help support the eye, maybe it will say your eye's lying to you, maybe it'll give you a bit of confidence, not to support the bias, but more just give you an accurate reflection of what you're seeing. At the end of the day, I always think that eyes come first, in the sense of you want to have more of a 70-30 split, 70 eyes, 30 data, but your eyes do lie to you from time to time, so having that objective check is important. And
what are kind of the main metrics that you kind of use to narrow it down to that number one target from
those?
I
can't give you the secret sauce, unfortunately. I can't give you the secret sauce, but we have a profile of player. I think as people know the way Alex likes to set up his team, there are specific types of players who excel in the way he wants to play and others that do not. So when we're looking at a specific position, there will be key metrics, whether that's physical or technical, that they need to be able to hit in terms of a minimum bar. Obviously, if they're able to show Premier League traits, whether that's physically or tactically or technically, then that's fantastic for us. But it's a blend of all the above. We're not just looking for power and pace. We're not just looking for technicians. We're looking for good players who fit the right profile for the coach, position specific.
Before you move into football, you worked for Google and used data. How much of emphasis do you place on data?
Like I said, for me, it's a 70-30 split, 70% live or video, 30% data. So it's it's a decent chunk of kind of the, the overall recruitment structure and process. For me, people ask, well, if you could replace one or lose one, which one can you not live without? And I always say you can't live without the eyes. Because just going blind on the data, you're taking a lot of risk, especially in a division like the Championship, where there's a lot of nuance to it, and it's an intense league. There's a lot more physicality required to excel. So taking a player from a division where there's not a lot of duels and there's not a lot of contact to then drop them into the Championship without ever seeing them live, that's a lot of risk, and it's, how much risk can you stomach? So it's taking everything into consideration. It's an art, not a science, but the science helps support the final decision, that's for sure.
How much of kind of the development in technology aided the process of recruitment over in football in particular? Well,
a huge help, because first and foremost, I don't need to be on a plane every weekend going to a new area of the world. We have obviously, many video platforms as such with Scout and Stat, loads are out there. So that helps us pretty much, save time and save expenses on traveling, things like that, to still get the games covered. But at the end of the day, I'm convinced that we need to have live eyes on a player we sign. So just signing through data and video doesn't quite tick the box for me. It has to be a live viewing, if not multiple, because there's the bit that you see off the pitch. So how they walk onto the pitch for the warm-up, how they walk off the pitch if they get subbed early, and that's the character. And last time I checked, I don't have a data provider that tells me about character, and it's everything. So between the years is massive. We probably don't talk about it enough. It could be a technically great player, a physically great player. It could stack up in terms of the data as well. But if the character's not right, then he's probably not going to be the right fit for Stoke City.
In the last couple of weeks, there's been a change in regards to the rules for the recruitment of overseas players. Is that an avenue that you're looking to explore?
I won't give away too much, but we're active in all markets, put it that way.
Is it something that you were prepared for and were expecting to come into place?
So there have been rumors, things drip out. You have mates at other clubs who tell you bits and pieces. We had an indication this was going to happen, whether it was this summer or the following summer. So we've been preparing in the background, obviously being in a recruitment function at Sheffield United and Reading previously for a short stint. It's something that you're always aware of, so that the moment that they turn on the faucet and your pond opens up, you're prepared. Because you don't want to be on the back foot and scrambling about, because that's when you start making mistakes, because you start guessing. And like I said, we won't get everything right, but we will get more hits than misses.
Obviously, your immediate priority is the transfer window, but what are your medium and long-term objectives?
Right, great question. So right now, as I mentioned, we're in execution mode. So we're about making the best decisions possible. After that, we'll be focusing more into a process and a structure and how we filter in the data, the emerging talent, and the field live scouting, how that all falls together under one umbrella. So that is the medium-term plan, and setting that up properly, getting the right people in place. We have some fantastic people in the building in terms of the recruitment and scouting staff. So obviously making sure we can get the best out of them and put them in positions where they will excel. And then obviously wrapping that up into a more cohesive, comprehensive recruitment both funnel and overall structure. So come September, there will be some changes in the way we operate. Obviously, I don't want to reinvent the wheel in the middle of a window, but we want to make sure that with this wildcard situation that we don't leave any stone unturned and we don't leave ourselves exposed to potential guessing and not knowing enough about a player. So we'll be on our bike, we'll be traveling probably a bit more than previously, but that was dictated to by GBE and the financial situation of the club. So the fact that we are more of a blank canvas as such, a blank sheet of paper. We need to be prepared to operate in different markets and be nimble, but be prepared.